All right, good evening, everyone. Are we here? Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Hello. Yes, we can hear you. Thanks. All right, so this is our first time doing this. As folks may know, we are both here at 195 Linden Street, the Hope Gardens Multi-Service Senior Center. A big thank you to Riseboro and to, of course, RAD. We have Pinnacle, Penrose, the management that allowed us to be here today. And we also have folks on Zoom. So it's a different setup. So we beg your patience as we go through this for the first time, but we hope that everyone will be able to benefit from the meeting, both in person and online. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to our April 20th, 2022 public hearing and regular meeting. It is now 6:08. We're going to go ahead and get started with our public hearing agenda. And first we have Toby Shepard-Block from NYC Mesh, providing an introductory presentation on NYC Mesh as requested by the CB4 Arts, Culture, Technology Committee. Toby?
Thank you all so much. We're really excited to be having this conversation with you this evening. I'm joined by Jadea Spencer Mohammed, who heads an organization called Communify, who we collaborate with to get our project installed, and she'll be sharing a little more about that during our presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Awesome. Yep. So New York City Mesh is a broadband service, just like any other service you might use to connect to the internet. But the big difference between us is that we're not a corporation. We are a community-owned project. We're a nonprofit, and we are volunteer powered. So we're a decentralized network. We don't, like I said, we don't have a corporate owner, and we connect buildings directly to the internet. And it's a viable alternative to the products that like Spectrum and Fios offer. But we don't charge a monthly fee. We ask people that connect to our network that you make a monthly donation. And what that means is it's kind of like public radio or public TV. If you use our service, we ask that you make a donation, but if you fall on hard times or for whatever reason, a member's not able to make a contribution, we don't turn off that connection to the internet. We really believe that connectivity to the internet is essential in the 21st century, and our mission is to make sure that every New Yorker has equitable and fair access. And so besides cost, what makes us really unique is that we really value your privacy. We don't capture your data. We don't try and sell information about what you do on the internet to advertisers. We're really committed to neutrality. We never slow down a service because somebody pays us or doesn't pay us money, like Netflix or YouTube. And we're really focused on this idea of community. By joining Mesh, you're contributing to the growth of our network, and you're supporting your neighbors and getting access to the internet. So really quickly, this is sort of how Mesh works, how we do it. We've got computers and data centers near Google servers and other corporations like that, and we run wires between our servers and theirs. And then we're able to beam that connection around the city wirelessly. So we'll put an antenna up on a member's rooftop, and that connects back to one of our hubs. And at the same time, that antenna creates a free Wi-Fi signal that anyone in the neighborhood can connect to. And between that antenna and the member that we're connecting, the apartment or the home, we run an Ethernet cable from the roof down to the apartment. Jadea, do you want to talk a little bit about Communify?
For sure. So hi, everyone. I'm Jadea, a born and raised Brooklynite as well. And I've been volunteering with NYC Mesh now for a year. And so the first time that I went on an install, when I was trying to figure out how do we bridge the gap between folks who have internet in New York City and the fact that many of us are being overcharged for internet, I found out about NYC Mesh and went on an install and found out that literally the work of doing an install on someone's rooftop is really something that only takes a few hours, but in those few hours, in a simple process that NYC Mesh has, that those few hours could bring internet to a household that doesn't have it, and internet that is, as Toby's already pointed out, strong and affordable, and also providing internet to the community. And when I found out that it was literally so simple that like young people and teenagers could be involved with doing it, I co-founded Communify with my partner Shemaine, who is like a Brownsville like grandma herself. And so yeah, the key premise is like we're training young people and we're providing payment for them to be trained to become Wi-Fi installers, thus centering youth as a solution for like the issue in digital equity, but also like training youth in very valuable skills that come with learning how to install Wi-Fi, learning how to work as a team, some of the masonry work that's also involved with that, and basically just putting the power back into people's hands, which is what Mesh is about, which is why we're happy to partner with them. Does that make sense, folks? Is that making sense? Okay, I'm seeing some nods. All right, I'll pass it back to you, Toby.
So one of the first questions we always get from folks that are interested in joining our network is like, is it secure? Am I going to be safe? And as I mentioned, we don't collect any data. So that's one thing that already makes our network safer than some of the other networks out there. And even though, I mentioned that our antennas create an open Wi-Fi signal that anyone in the neighborhood can join for free. But when we run that cable down into people's apartments or into their homes, we create a password protected, encrypted, secure connection that makes sure that all of your credit card info and personal data has the best protection it can have when you're going out on the internet. So the reason that we're here speaking to you this evening is that we've got some hubs nearby, and we're adding a bunch more. So on top of Saratoga houses and on top of 303 Vernon, we've got a hub, as well as one in Brownsville on Riverdale Avenue. And in coming months, we're adding hubs at Woodson Houses and Kingsborough Extension through a partnership with NYCHA. And so anybody that's got a line of sight, anyone that can see the rooftop of one of these buildings, they're able to connect to our network. And so this is just sort of a map, a little bit more of our network in your neighborhood. This is our hub at Saratoga, this blue dot right here. And you can see that we're sort of getting real close to your neighborhood. And so we want to get the word out about how this works. So if somebody in CB4 is interested in connecting to NYC Mesh, you go to this website here, www.nycmesh.net/join. And you can fill out a sign-up page and to see if you're within range of our network. And what we're going to ask you to do is to get up on your roof and take some pictures of the skyline. And we can look at those pictures and we can determine whether or not we can make a connection. Now, typically, there's a hardware fee installed with one of the associated with one of these installations of about $290. But we have some money from a foundation to subsidize installs in Ocean Hill and Brownsville. And so that fee is waived for residents of your community. And that's really the big message we want to get out, that we're able to subsidize that hardware cost and also get some money to the young people that Jadea is working with so that they can learn some skills and really take control of the internet in their neighborhood. So this is some pictures of our installation. These little antennas, they're about 18 inches tall. And then these little dishes are the second piece of our technology that connect back to our network. So that's sort of what an installation looks like. And I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening. So that's sort of what we had in our presentation. But whenever we share this with folks, it generates a lot of questions. So I wanted to leave some time for folks to ask any questions that they might have.
Thank you, Toby. And there is a question already in the chat from Imini. During stormy weather, is the connection still strong with the antenna?
Amini, that's a great question. And it depends a little bit how stormy. But generally speaking, through most weather events, our network stays up real strong. We use antennas that use of different frequencies. So some are really fast in the best weather, but then when the weather gets bad, they don't work so good. So then we have a backup antenna that we can switch over to so that we remain up no matter what the weather looks like.
I do want to point out that like during, Hurricane Sandy, for example, like these, our antennas were still very much like running, and people were still, those who had power were still able to access their internet. And the cool thing about like why it's called mesh internet is that like the antennas essentially talk to each other. So say you have an antenna beaming internet down to like, the street level, and then say your neighbor also gets it and another neighbor also gets it. Say something happens to yours, like because the signals pick up from each other, then your antenna can still pick up the signal from your neighbors. It's like shared bandwidth, which increases the more people use it. So by using the mesh for your own household, you're also literally benefiting your whole community and anyone who has a line of sight to your rooftop too, which is super cool. Yeah. Are there other questions, comments, concerns, points of excitement, things like that?
Board members, any questions?
Anyone has any questions?
And anyone from the public, any questions?
While we're here, I also do want to say, like, as Toby mentioned, and we'll put the link back in the chat again. So you can see on the link whether or not you are able to, whether you're in line of sight to access it. But if you yourself are also maybe curious about going on an install, or about, young people, you're interested in like training opportunities, like that's absolutely something that you can, come and talk to us about. Does the grant help to reduce the cost for low income families? Yes, it does. That's exactly what it's purpose for. So thank you for asking that. So yeah, and I just, I have a nonprofit background, like here in Brooklyn. Like I myself have no such technical training, but even I could learn about how to, do the work of crimping wires and like running cables and things like that. Like it is literally way more simple than certain companies would have you to believe, meaning like the access to like the internet that we deserve is also way more simple. That's why I'm very excited. Is it safe from hackers? Yes. So two things, there's like two levels, like one, and yes, mesh is available in parts of Bushwick right now. And the more rooftops we can get on top of, the more buildings immediately next to them also benefit. And that's how the mesh network has been able to spread. And so right now we have mesh antennas in over 1,000 locations across New York City, all over Brooklyn, particularly in Northern Brooklyn, and in also across Manhattan. And now we're also building up to the Bronx, as Toby mentioned before. About the question about safety from hackers, like essentially, yes, like when we route the antenna, like from the antenna, we run the cable into your apartment, you get your own password, you get your own router, like just like what you would have with any other, internet provider. So there's that. And then what's available publicly in the street level has about the same level of security as, say like a local cafe and things like that. So your household is password protected. I'm just trying to go fast because, I want to answer as many questions as we can.
I just want to jump in for 1 minute on price. We have a suggested donation of $20 a month, but if a member is not able to afford $20 a month and and $10 is better for them, or $5, that's fine with us. We provide the service regardless of people's ability to pay.
I see 3 questions, and I'll combine the last 2 about radiation and health hazards. The radiation, like I personally like been on installs like in areas when we've had like we're doing an install on a radio tower where the radiation level is like such that you have to like be mindful. But no, the radiation level that they emit are negligible.
It's the same as any other sort of Wi-Fi equipment. We use the 5 gigahertz spectrum, and this is hobbyist equipment that isn't licensed, and there are no health and safety precautions that you need to take around it.
Yeah, because there are some, there is a such thing as like, antenna tools that would require you to be kind of concerned. Like, again, like if you're on top of a radio tower, which emits like a certain level of frequency, but this is not that for what it's worth. And then in terms of, is it only available at the antenna? So yeah, we actually do have some people who have been able to pick up like NYC Mesh's signal from the antenna if you happen to like be next door or you happen to have line of sight, like if you're in the area. Like we've I've seen on installs that I'm on a street level and I'm able to access the internet that's being beamed by, but that also means their neighbors can also access that too. Of course, just like with any kind of internet service, the closer you are, the stronger your signal can be. So yeah, it depends in that regard. I love these questions. How's the speed? I love that question. Toby, you were just thinking about this a little while ago. Do you want to take that or do you want me to?
Sure. So, we don't advertise a particular speed level, but, I think for the vast majority of internet uses, it turns out that there's a lot of marketing wrapped up in the speeds that providers sell to you. And so what we find is that for most stuff like doing Zoom or streaming video or even downloading a software update, 50 megabits a second turns out to be a lot of bandwidth. And so it really depends how far you are from our hub, what exact speeds you'll get. But a lot of people find that, especially in parts of central Brooklyn, that some of the commercial providers give you a really fast download, but a really slow upload. And so that makes things like Zoom really difficult. And so a lot of folks come to Nyc Mesh because they want something that just works a little bit better, even if like the speed test might be a little bit slower. And it is great for distance learning and folks who are trying to do school from home.
Yeah, I was going to just add to that there are some businesses right now that run completely on the mesh, like say, daycares where students have to be working virtually a lot, and you'll have like several, like over a dozen like computers like in the same space at the same time using like the Wi-Fi, and it still works quite well for them. I'm only working with Nyc Mesh in the first place because I tested the Wi-Fi for myself and found it that it actually works for what I needed. Like I do Zoom, YouTube, Netflix, things like that, and it works just fine. Is it great for students working from home? Oh yeah.
All right. Perfect. So those were some great questions, and I hope great answers for everyone that asked them. I just want to say thank you to Toby and Jediah again for coming out, and I'm sure we will continue the conversation. I would also be remiss if I didn't thank El Puente, specifically Luis Muniz, for connecting us. So they've been working with El Puente in the neighborhood, and we wanted to extend those efforts and share a little bit more about this resource that's available to the community. So thank you both.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay. So we will move on now to our second agenda item, and that is the NYC Department of Buildings providing a local law 152 refresher presentation. And I believe we have Chief Jones with us this evening. Chief?
Yes, good afternoon. Good evening, all.
Hi, Celeste and CB4. This is Damaris. I'm also on the meeting. Just wanted to let you all know.
Thank you.
I have a presentation. Can I share the screen?
Yes, please do.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'm gonna discuss briefly in regards to local law 152 and some of the changes that's associated with it. Okay, so in 2016, local law 152 of 16 was enacted. The Department of Buildings did not start pushing the local law through till January 1st of 2020. So there were several community districts that had to comply with the local law at that point in time. That was community districts 1, 3, and 10. And they were required to have their inspections completed by December 31st of 2020. However, City Council granted an extension till June 30th due to COVID and other related matters. January 1st, 2021, Cycle 2 began, which was in regards to Community Boards 2, 5, 7, 13, and 18. Their deadline was the December 31 of 2021, which they also received an extension to June 30th. Now we're in Community Board 4's cycle. All right, so any home that falls out of the, that is not classified as an R3 occupancy, which is typically a 1 or 2 family property. Okay, this is a 1 or 2, whether if you have a commercial establishment on the ground floor, if you have a medical office, if you have a chiropractor office, anything of that nature that will push this occupancy group out of R3, you're required to comply with local law 152. Okay, now the way that you find out if your property is required is 2 ways. You can go on the Department of Buildings website and do a search of your property and verify if you have a certificate of occupancy. Your certificate of occupancy will let you know what your building is legally established as. Okay, if your building, if it says that you have 3 dwelling units, then you have to comply with local law 152. If it says 2 dwelling units, then good, you're exempt. Okay, one of the issues with local law 152 though, however, if your residential home is an R3, a 1 or 2 family, and you have a detached garage, unfortunately, you're still required to have that garage inspected. Okay, unfortunately, City Council didn't take into consideration the detached garages that's associated with the R2, R3 occupancy groups. So unfortunately, DOB doesn't have the authority to modify the law and exclude the detached garages. So unfortunately, you property owners that have detached garages with the R3 occupancy of your residence are required to comply with local law 152. Okay, and the main goal of the local law is basically to have gas piping systems inspected, right? Have someone look at them, all right? Because on average, the average gas piping system in a building, you know, can last anywhere upwards of 30 years. If there's no leaks or any work being done on the gas piping system, it's very rare that the owner is looking at it or they're having someone come and look at the piping system to make sure the piping is in good operable conditions. So this law, despite the inconsistencies or the lack of information associated with it, it is an excellent law and it provides an additional level of safety for our residents in New York, our people that come here to do business, those that work, go to school, our hospitals. This law is only exempts 1 or 2 families. So everything else has to be inspected, which is a great thing because I'm not sure if you all watch the news or not, but we've encountered a total of 5 explosions in less than 5 months, all gas related. And that's a horrible sight to go out and have to inspect, which is one of my responsibilities that I have to respond to. So, you know, we're just trying to cut back on things like this from happening. So, you know, this law is in effect. Okay, so as I said, buildings classified as R3 are exempt. All right. Calling me. So here's the cycles. Okay, so started January 1 of 2022 to December 31st of 2022, community boards 4, 6, 8, 9, and 16 in all boroughs are required to have the local law 152 inspection completed. However, there's two additional intros that was enacted this year. One allows for you, if you're encountering some sort of hardship, you can submit documentation to the Department of Buildings that explains what that hardship is. We'll review it and verify if that warrants an extension on you having the inspection done. If you have the inspection done and you encounter some sort of hardship with regards to correcting the conditions that the plumber or his authorized representative identifies, you can be granted an additional 180 days to have that work completed. However, you must submit a request to the department prior to just ignoring the process. You have to make sure that you submit within our public portal, and you'll see information associated with that later on in the PowerPoint, where how you go about doing this. Okay. All right, so this is a community district profile that basically lets those individuals that not sure as to what community boards your property resides in. You can go to this community district profile at New York City Planning.gov, and you can obtain that information, as well as you can also obtain it on the New York City Department of Buildings website by going to our BIS Buildings Information System search, put your property address in, and it'll tell you what community board your property resides in as well. Okay, so what's required to be inspected with local law 152? Only exposed gas piping that is open to view. So the local law does not require that you open walls, open the ceilings and things of that nature. Okay, we've heard complaints, disputes from regarding contractors trying to force their way within properties, tenant spaces and things of that nature. The local law clearly states that tenant spaces are exempt. So if a person is trying to, so let's say you own a commercial space, but it's tenant operated. You do not operate the space. Your tenant operates the space. We are not allowed, or they're not allowed to roam through that tenant space inspecting for gas piping. They are only required to check the point of entry where the gas pipe enters the building and the meter setup. Nothing else is required to be inspected unless you have space within that building that does not fall under the tenant space. Okay? If a building does not, it does not include gas piping above the ceiling or drop ceiling behind any access door, we're not looking for any of that. They're not required to inspect that. So let's say you have a building, residential building, 20 families, 4 apartments on each floor. What the person that's performing this inspection is going to do, like I said, they're going to come in, they're going to check the point of entry. They're going to check where your gas meters are located at. They're going to trace that pipe. If you have a boiler room in the cellar area, they're going to go to the boiler room. They're going to check everything inside the boiler room. If you have a laundry room, they're going to look in your laundry room. If this stuff is in the open space in that area, they're going to look at the piping that's exposed in that area. When they start going up to the floors, unless you have mechanical rooms outside of the tenant's apartment, you have a mechanical closet in the corridor area or the public space, then they're going to inspect that. If you have piping on the roof or appliances, HVAC units or equipment of some sort on the roof, they're going to inspect that. Okay, but they are not going to go into the apartments. What they're going to do is they're going to take their portable gas leak detector and they're going to wand around the door frame to verify that there's no leaks at the door or within the apartment space. But again, they do not enter the space. Okay, if your building does not contain a gas piping system, you're required to hire a plumber, an engineer, or an architect to verify that this building has no gas piping system. And yes, you are required to do so every 4 years. Okay, so as I stated, only the point of entry, the services, the meters, your regulators, piping in public spaces, hallways, corridors, mechanical and boiler room. Those are the things that they're typically looking for. Okay, as I clearly says, includes all rooms up to the tenant space containing a gas appliance. This does not include gas piping within tenant spaces. Equipment such as pressure regulator, regulator vents, valves, sleeves, point of entry seals, etc. shall be inspected. What is not inspected during Local Law 152 of 2016? Tenant spaces, buried gas piping, properties that presently do not have gas service or appliances connected to any gas piping, provide a signed statement from the utility company to verify. Now, this last bullet point, this is new, right? So let's say we have a building, let's say one of you own a building where your gas was shut off due to a leak. But you're dealing with a hardship of some sort, whereas you're not able to have that gas service restored at this time. The local law intro 23 of 21 of 2022 basically says that you can have your gas piping system in place. Your service should be shut off, killed at the street, meaning that you cannot have any gas entering that building at all. If your gas piping is in place and your gas is killed at the street and you have no gas appliances connected to the piping that's inside the building, then you can be exempt. However, you need a letter from the utility company that verifies when your gas was shut off. And it indicates a date, and it has to be signed by someone that works within the utility company. The utility company is not providing this documentation. Okay, it's no other way for me to sugarcoat it. We've had DOB has had a couple of meetings with them within the past month or so. I'm trying to get them to understand the importance of this. We just recently had our last meeting on Wednesday to no avail. They're still not willing to do it because of this a liability factor. So what DOB considers a building not having any service, the utility company has a different jurisdiction of that. Their jurisdiction as to no service ends at the street, where they shut off your curb valve. Now you have no pipe, no gas going into the building at the head of service valve. DOB classifies your gas not having service when your head of service is locked or shut. So these two issues, or not even these two issues, just the utility company requires that an inspection gets performed to verify why the gas is shut off and so forth and so on. Unfortunately, that creates an unnecessary hardship for you all, as you're on a clock. You have a certain time frame as to when these inspections has to be completed and the conditions has to be corrected. So we're working diligently with the utility companies to try to get them to understand the importance of them providing this documentation. And we have another meeting scheduled for next week, Wednesday. So hopefully at that meeting, we'll have some resolve. There's another issue that we're encountering with the utility companies. Let's say you have a local law 152 inspection conducted and your contractor, plumber, or his authorized representative identifies conditions that has to be corrected. Now, in order for these conditions on a gas piping system to be corrected, the utility company has to come out and shut the gas meter off in order for you to make those repairs. A plumber or his representative is not allowed to shut off a gas meter unless it's an emergency condition, which typically would be a gas leak. That's the only time that they would be allowed to shut off a gas meter. So this requires for the utility company to come out and shut these meters off. And when they're showing up, they're refusing to shut the meters off. So the plumber can pull his permit and make the necessary repairs. And their reasoning is that these conditions doesn't warrant immediate correction. But again, the local law doesn't distinguish a difference between what needs to be corrected immediately and what can be corrected over a period of time. So again, this puts you all in a bind that we're trying to resolve as well with the utility companies, and hopefully we'll have a resolve on that next week, Wednesday. So just keep a lookout for updates, modifications to our FAQ associated with local law 152, as well as a potential new rule that might get drafted. All right, so how to complete the inspection. You hire a licensed master plumber to inspect the building. Okay. Your licensed master plumber is not required to have any type of special credentials in order to conduct. His license basically allows him to do these inspections. However, his authorized representative is required to take a 16-hour course and pass a certification exam in order to be able to perform these inspections. If these individuals cannot produce or show you this certification, my request to you is to move on to someone else. Okay, but you don't want an unauthorized individual looking at your gas piping system. They might not be qualified to identify all of the necessary potential hazards. So we want to make sure that you hire a professional that has the proper credentials and as well as their individuals. You can verify a licensee's license status by using our license search tool on our website. You can also go to the Better Business Bureau and search a licensed company or the licensed individual's name to see his report card. Every licensed master plumber in the city of New York is required to register with the Better Business Bureau for this report card reason and other reasons associated with things of that nature. Okay, so you can always verify if, who you're doing business with. You're going to get some astronomical prices in regards to these local law 152 inspections. I strongly recommend that you do the 3 for process of eliminate, or a 3 for average. You contact 3 individuals, get a quote, let them know what type of build you have, how many property, how many families, so forth and so on, and find a medium. Never take the first person. That's just a recommendation, but that's to your own discretion. Okay, you can also review and verify if the particular contractor that you intend on hiring had any disciplinary actions taken against them by the Department of Buildings by using our Know Your Construction Professional tool. Okay, so how to complete the inspection. The inspector must be provided full access to all non-tenant areas in order for the inspection to be certified as complete. So like I said, if you have equipment on the roof in your backyard area, the person performing your inspection must have access to that. If not, they will not be able to complete the inspection as a whole. And we do not accept the GPS reports in portions. So you as an owner has an obligation to provide access to the individual performing the inspection. Okay, once the inspection is completed, your licensed master plumber must submit a gas piping system periodic inspection report, also known as a GPS-1, to the owner or owner's representative within 30 days of the inspection. Okay, so if you had your inspection conducted on March 18th, you should have received your GPS-1 by April 18th. Okay. And within 60 days of the inspection, you as the property owner, you're obligated to submit a copy of the GPS-2, the gas piping system periodic inspection certification, signed and sealed by the licensed master plumber who conducted the inspection or supervised the inspection. You have to submit that to DOB within our public portal. Okay. However, if you're not computer savvy, you're not familiar with our computer-based systems, most individuals, from what I'm seeing or what I'm hearing, is they're allowing their licensee to do the work, to do the submission for them, of course, with a small fee. So if you're computer savvy, I recommend that you do it all on your own. And there's actually a step-by-step guide in this PowerPoint that shows you how to do that also. All right, correcting conditions. So unsafe and hazardous conditions such as a gas leak, illegal connection, or non-code compliant installation require immediate notification. So if any of those conditions are observed during the inspection, the person performing the inspection must contact you, the owner, the utility company, and the Department of Buildings to let us know what that situation is and what the outcome was. If conditions require correction were identified, you must submit a GPS piping certification, system periodic inspection certification, signed and sealed by the licensed master plumber who conducted the inspection, stating that the conditions have been corrected within 120 days of the inspection. Right? So if the gas piping system inspection certification submitted to DOB indicated that additional time was needed to correct the conditions identified during the gas piping system inspection, you must submit to the DOB within 180 days of the inspection, the report. Okay, so basically what this is saying is from the date of initial inspection, if your initial inspection was conducted on March 18th of 2022, you're required to have these conditions corrected. As per the original information in the local law, you're required to have these conditions corrected no later than September 18th of 2022. However, as I've stated previously, if there's some sort of hardship or some sort of situation where it's taken longer than 180 days, you just go into our public portal system and request an extension of an additional 180 days. Okay, so these are things that's in the system that you're allowed to do right now. So if you had an inspection conducted already and you need additional time, you believe, you can go into our system and make that request. Okay, corrections of conditions identified during the gas piping system inspection must be performed in compliance with the New York City construction codes, including obtaining any required permits. Okay, so again, anytime that you're working on a gas piping system, if there's any work that has to be done on the piping, that's on what we classified as the jurisdictional or the non-jurisdictional, which is on the distribution side of the gas piping system, which is the piping that you're responsible for as the property owner, you need a permit. If it's classified as utility piping, no permit is required unless the utility company tells you that you have to test your distribution piping. So if only a test is required to be done on a distribution piping, you're required to obtain at minimum a limited alteration application permit, which is also known as an LAA. Okay, if you have to replace a hanger, you know, remove a piece of bandine and install a hanger, take some pipe being held up with wiring, those things like that doesn't require a permit. So your licensed professional, when you hiring them to do the inspection, once they give you this documentation and tell you that conditions need to be corrected, my first question that I would ask them is there a permit required? So that lets you know, if you choose not to use this individual that did the inspection, the next person that you bring in, you want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So they're going to obtain the permit before you allow them to start any work. Okay, we don't want you to do an inspection, have a plumber doing a GPS inspection, identify conditions. You turn around and hire Joe Smo from the neighborhood handyman to come in and correct these conditions, and then have your original plumber that did the inspection come in and certify the conditions. He's going to submit that documentation, but you're going to be liable for any violations because the first plumber that did the gas piping inspection is not required to verify if you obtain permits to correct the conditions. And that work without a permit civil penalty is a minimum of $6,000. It can actually be up to 14 times the permit fee. So you could be looking at tens of thousands of dollars in a penalty that has to be paid prior to you obtaining a permit. So my recommendation is, if you're not sure, it's always wise to ask a question prior to making the mistake than asking a question after the mistake is already made. All right, and this is the tips as to how you access the portal and put the information into the GPS2 information, as well as how to upload it. I sent this PowerPoint over to the community board representatives. I think Damaris actually did. So if they can provide you with a copy of such, and you can have it for your own records, okay? Okay, these are the resources. Okay, so like I said, we have the local law 152 of 2016 service notice. This service notice changes quite frequently, as there's always modifications being made to the rule of local law 152. Okay, we have a local law 152 fact sheet, frequently asked questions. Again, this too also change frequently. So my recommendation is that you periodically go on our website just to see if there's new information associated with it. Okay, if you have any questions regarding local law 152, if you want to verify if your contractor submitted the GPS2 form to us, you can contact us at 212-393-2557 or via email at ll152of16@buildings.nyc.gov. Or you can reach out to our main website at www.nyc.gov/site/builder/index.page. I'm sorry, that where it says report exposed gas piping to Con Edison, do not do that. My apologies, but this has been modified and not by me. This is to say report a gas leak or conditions associated with your property, associated with your gas. You can report anytime. You do not, let me rephrase this. Never call a utility company for a gas leak. They're gonna take too much time to respond to the gas leak. Anytime you have a gas leak or think that there's a gas leak, call 911. The fire department responds much faster than the utility company responds. They pretty much have the same type of equipment to verify if a gas leak occurred. Do not call 311 and report a gas leak to the Department of Buildings, because we do not carry tools as inspectors. Our tools are our fingers and our mind. We do not carry tools to shut off anything. So you calling 311 and logging a complaint, that's just prolonging the situation of a potential explosion occurring. So anytime you have a gas leak or suspect a gas leak, call 911 to get the fire department out immediately. National Grid and CarNet, you can contact them for other, issues that you might have questions or concerns associated with. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief Jones. Yes, Ms. Fallon would like to say something, and then we'll take questions from everyone else.
Good evening. I had my inspection without any problem. What I'm having is a problem with my neighbors. They are confused about the inspection, the 152 inspection and the utility inspection. can the utility do the 152, or is that a separate type of inspection?
Man, that's a separate type of inspection. This is a very frequently asked question. Unfortunately, the utility companies, technicians, and representatives are giving out misguided information saying that if they do the inspection, you're not required to have the local law 152 inspection conducted. That's completely false. I've actually reached out to Con Ed as well as National Grid's higher ups to inform them so they can pass this information down to their field operatives to stop giving this information out, because it's created a lot of, it's putting a lot of people in a situation where they could be subject to receiving a violation from us. Okay, I've been stressing this honestly since 2020 that they need to stop doing this, but it's pretty much the same type of inspection. It's just unfortunately the utility is doing it on their course. City Council requires local law 152 be conducted at your cost. But the utility company's inspection does not suffice local law 152.
Are there any other questions or comments, board members, members of the public? I'm not sure if there's anything in the chat.
Yes, this
No.
how are homeowners being informed in CB4? Okay, so we did a mass mail-in of approximately 350,000 mail-ins to properties that we believe is affected or would be affected by local law 152. But prior to, before the law went into effect in 2020, from my understanding, there was information provided to community leaders that was supposed to provide this information out to the constituents. I'm not a part of our, our information or our community outreach, so I'm not sure as to actually if or how that actually was done. But that, from my understanding, that's how the information was provided through community leaders, and they were supposed to inform their constituents. Another question: licensed master plumbers have been sending out notifications to homeowners that are required to comply with local law 152. Yes, they're soliciting business, and that's not illegal. What they're doing is they're going to neighborhoods and they're looking at the makeup of the properties. Some of you might be getting might be getting flyers from them, and your property is exempt. They don't know what the inside look like, so they're assuming. And again, by them providing those leaflets and things of that nature, they're actually helping spread the word of the local law that is required. So if you're, like I said, if your property is more than a one or two, and you receive that, you should comply.
Hi, Sean. That was actually me. I was just letting them know that some of the ways that that basically the information is getting out there. So in addition to us providing mailing services, we also have licensed master plumbers also providing notifications. But just to add on to Sean Jones' point is that even if you are being solicited by plumbers, not all the time, they're not always licensed. So I do, recommend that you do your due diligence to make sure that they are licensed professionals, providing these notifications, then you can do that through our website.
Right. Yes. Again, and if you're not computer savvy, you can always, I provided our contact information, my unit's contact information. I'll put it in the chat for everyone as well. You can always call us. We're here to help. Like I said, I'd rather you ask me 50 questions up front to do the situation the correct way, opposed to 50 questions later when we have problems. It's harder to help you in the beginning than it is in the back. And when we're dealing with problems and violations are already issued, it becomes an unnecessary hurdles that we're really not trying to, push off on anyone. I put the email in the chat as well as our hotline, because it's no longer a unit's main line. It has become a hotline since local law 152 has been implemented. Currently our so please understand also that the email account, on average, we receive anywhere between 150 to 300 emails a day in this email account. Okay, so we will get back to you. I just can't say that it's going to happen immediately. But again, phone calls, if we're not responding and it's a high-end situation, on a daily basis, I have a minimum of 3 to 4 people operating the phones. So we're here to help, any way we possibly can.
You can also reach out to me directly. I'm going to put my information in the chat as well. And Celestina is always, has direct communication with me if you guys have any questions regarding local law 152.
To answer Mr. Juan M's question, unfortunately, Mr. M, this is only allowed to be done
in the chat, and then I know
via the public portal. We are not taking the physical documentation. But again, if you're having issues with uploading the information or uploading the document, because you have to data enter the information on it as well as upload a copy of the document. So if you're encountering any kind of obstacles with that, again, just reach out to us and we'll guide you through our step-by-step process, on how to get it done successfully.
Okay, I see no more hands. I don't see any other questions from members of the public in person or online. I believe we can move on if everyone is comfortable. Anyone else?
Yep.
So for now, we do have to move on with the public hearing. I know there is one attendee that we haven't verified yet. We will follow up, but we do have to move on with our public hearing agenda and close to go into our regular meeting. So thank you to DOB for being here this evening and everyone for your questions. We will absolutely keep the community posted as new developments occur.
Okay, thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that officially concludes our public hearing this evening. We're going to go ahead and move into the regular meeting. Board members, please be ready for the first roll call. Starting with Reverend Grace Ates. Joanna Bennett.
Here.
Joshua Brown.
Present.
Martha Brown is excused. Raul Brown. Robert Camacho. Gardier Caphart has resigned. Melissa Carrera. Felix Ceballos. Luisa Chan. Please mute folks if you're not speaking. Elvina Davis. Andrew Choi is excused. Carlos Feliciano. James Fitzgerald. Freddie Fowler. Gowdy Gomez. Christopher Graham.
Present.
Ann Guiney.
Present.
Jose Guzman. Adia Harrison. Jared Hicks. Tanisha Honeygan. Barbara Jackson.
Present.
Oh, gotcha, Tanisha. Kristen Jock has also resigned. Cheryl Jones.
Present.
Virgie Jones.
Present.
Luisa Jose. Andy Marte.
I'm here.
Gotcha, Luisa. Mary McClellan. Imani Mitchell.
Present.
Desmond Monroe.
Present.
Dami Namir Olivares. Kyle O'Rourke. Zuma Novoa. Oh, gotcha, Kyle. Zuma. Asaya Polite.
Present.
Gladys Bulia.
Present.
Raul Rubio. Eliseo Ruiz. Bernardina Shell.
Present.
Barbara Smith.
Present.
Dustin Sonborn is excused from the first roll call. Annette Spellin. Leo Teneo. Jerry Valentin.
Present.
Carlotta Williams.
Present.
Oldolph Wright. And Frank Zimmerman. That's 25 board members present. That constitutes a quorum. Thank you, everyone. We'll now move on with the acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion from the board to accept the agenda?
I make a motion that we accept the agenda.
Seconded by Raul Rubio. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? So moved. Agenda item number 3, acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. Is there a motion from the board?
Camacho make a motion to accept the previous minutes.
Mr. Camacho made a motion. Ms. Davis seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? So moved. And moving on to agenda item number 4, our chairperson's report. Mr. Camacho.
Thank you all for coming. I would like to also give some notes in regards to the Ukraine relief. We want to bless everyone. What's going on in this crazy world today. So I know that Station on Broadway, 1419 Broadway, had a hurricane relief. They also have food, water. A lot of people went out there and gave. That was the same day people were celebrating Easter. Also, we want to the arson that happened on 941 Willoughby. Me and Celeste, I went there to give them support. Bushwick don't do that. We don't burn places down. We've been there before. So I went there to support them. I tried to get a hold of somebody there, but no one was there to let them know that we're here, that we're going to support them in any way we want to, they need. And Celeste had called them up. I heard she got a hold of them. We told her. They also have a GoFundMe page there to try to fix their establishment with someone that wanted to pour gas and kill someone, I guess. I don't know. What is I really don't understand. Also, Sunset Park, in regards to the shooting in the train, everyone be safe. God bless those people. I guess, I don't know. So many things going on. And I just want to remind everyone that, election time is over now. We have to, for the executive officers, we need volunteers, board members. So please call the office. If not, I will be picking on you guys to be there. So if you don't volunteer, I will volunteer you guys. So I'm going to go.
If I got my Crocs, better question. Where's my sneakers?
Hello, could you? PM, the Hope Garden TA meeting. We met with the Hope Garden meeting. I also want to acknowledge that we have a tenant here. She was having some issues. Her son has been moved out of Hope Garden because of the flood condition as of January. And we got good news. They're back home. So her son is home and they're here. And we welcome them. And if we can do anything for you again, we will. We also have a couple of tenants that came by to also thank us with the work that we do in regards to helping them make sure that that RAD conversions goes good and that our people can stay in their homes and they don't keep getting any more BS. On Friday, March 18th at 11, I went to the cab, 1154 decal. That's the Nyc shelter. They're open now. I got some info in regards to the intake. As of December, there was 15 people employed, 5 move out, 4, because people get jobs and then they stay a while and they move out. January, there was 8 intakes, 6 were employed, 4 move out. So they're doing pretty good in regards to bringing them in. giving them services, they're getting jobs and then moving out of the location, because any one of us can be homeless, especially now what's going on. On February the 26th, there were 26 people intake, 4 were employed, and 4 moved out. So as you know, there are 45,276 in the census total shelters, 12,518 men, and 4,043 women. So it's really needed. I also required, as you know, there's a shelter, there's also incidents. So I required them to give us an incident report. So it go priority 1, 2, and 3, which is critical, medium, and low incidents. As critical, there were 14. Medium, there were none, and low was 88. It's like if you're smoking in a place you're not supposed to be smoking, you got to go out. So they give them a write-up. So total of 102. Then Monday, March 21st at 6 p.m., Youth and Education Committee. Tuesday, the 22nd at 2 p.m., we met with the new neighborhood crime prevention officers, a new unit that they're supposed to be doing. On Tuesday, the 22nd, there was a town hall with our Councilwoman Sandy Nurse, which is here, in regards to the Broadway Junction rezoning. That's going to be another issue. We really going to impact a lot of community boards, so we all got to get involved with that. On Wednesday, the 23rd, we were at a hearing at the LPC. There were also with Department of City Planning, the chairperson, Daniel R. Gridneck. He was present. On Thursday, the 24th, 1 p.m., the Broadway Corridors interagency meeting we had with CB3, CB16, and CB4. Broadway hasn't had a fix since 1977, so we need it fixed up. We need paint. So all the boards are getting together and make sure that that be part of our priority. So we're working along. On Thursday, the 24th, CB4 Shape of Bushwick event. Thursday, the 24th, Arts and Culture at 6. As you see, I'm multitasking. I go on my phone and then I go on the things. So I don't know how I do it, but I get it done somehow, but it's done. Friday, the 25th at 9 a.m., a walk through the 335 Central, which is the health department. Miss Celeste got up early in the morning and we met with the commissioner of the health department in the building there at 335 Central. They got a big space there. They're gonna try to see if they can get it fixed up so we can have meetings or stuff there. They indicated they want to do more with us. We told them that we see what services are they providing. We want to make sure that that's being utilized as much as we can. On Friday, the 25th at 11, the community board governed briefing. It was a town hall and we met with the governor's chief of staff, HOCO staff. We was on Zoom. We gave them some complaints and issues that we had. On Friday, the same day, the 25th at 4:30, there was a job fair at Hope Garden, and that was NYCA. They had 25 jobs available. 12 jobs are going to people from Bushwick. They got them jobs. So that's a plus. They got all the qualifications and criteria that they needed. And out of the 25, 12 people got jobs. Security, property manager. So they came in. On Tuesday, March 29th, the NYSERDA Zoom. On Tuesday, the 29th, House and Land Use Committee at 6 o'clock. Wednesday, the 30th, 1 p.m., we went with Caesar with Living Bridges. I know Barbara Smith indicated that he wanted to get back to the community, so he's going to be bringing food for the Shape of Bushwick event. So he's going to be one of the persons that are going to bring some food for our people. He's getting stuff he wants to donate. On Thursday, the 31st, CB4, 6 p.m., District Office Committee. March 31st, Patrol Borough North Partners, Inspector Moscal at 6 o'clock. On Friday, April 1st at 10:30, the RAD Hope Garden updates. Some of the council persons here and chief of staff or the employees were present in all those meetings. They know more or less what's going on. So we're working together to make sure that we take care of RAD. We really need to help our seniors out. Saturday, April 2nd, the job fair at 1475 Gates from 12:30 to 3 p.m. Assemblywoman Marissa Davila had a function there on Monday, April 4th, CB4, 1 p.m. Team Bushwick Planning Committee on Monday, the 4th, 6 p.m. Zoom, the Civil Engagement Commission. You were there from 6:30 to 8. On Tuesday, April 5th, 12:30 with me and Celeste was on Zoom with the housing chair of City Council woman Alexandra Diaz. Alexa Averis, in regards to the RAD conversion and the PAC. And she will be hosting a hearing on April 27th at 1 o'clock. So, we can go inside and I guess she'll send it out to the board and we can go testify in regards to these RAD conversions and what's going on and what we want to do. And I've been thinking about what I want to do is I want to make sure that we can request that she do an audit in regards to how many apartments are empty, how many apartments are market rate housing, how many apartments are in Section 8, and if they are in Section 8 and they empty, are they being subsidized? So we want to make sure that we find out what's going on, and also Hope Riseboro, and also Riseboro. So we want to make sure that Riseboro too, make sure that they're not empty and they're getting money subsidized when our people need housing and homes to live in. So that's one thing we want to emphasize, that on Tuesday, April 5th at 6 p.m., the Borough Board meeting, we went with the Commissioner of City Planning, Haley Cross, and then there was a presentation in regards to the heat cooling system company, Smart Brooklyn. And then on Wednesday, the 6th, the A3 Precinct Advisory Board. And then that Wednesday again, that was at 1, at 6 o'clock, we had the Executive Board meeting. And then at 5, April 7th, Sanitation Work Group. Then Tuesday at 5 p.m., the 12th, Bushwick Historical Preservation Work. On Tuesday, April 12th at 6 o'clock, the Environmental and Permits and License Committee. On Tuesday, April 12th at 6:30, Riseboro. I came to Riseboro Casa Posiva. I know some of the elected officials were here in regards to Hope, Grove, and Linden, some of the issues that be going on in some of the apartments and facilities with the tenants. And also we had phase 2 on April 13th. And this was for Hemrod and Stockholm facilities that they had. They also have issues too. I guess Riseboro is getting more buildings all over the place, and I guess not taking care of the motherland. So we're gonna have to put them in place to make sure they take care of our people first before they go out. On Wednesday at 10:30, April 13th, CB4 District Service Cabinet, all city agencies came. Thanks Celeste, Kimberly, and they're doing a good job. I want to commend them because without them, forget about it. There'll be no board because they had all city agencies there all together. So on Thursday, the 14th at 2 p.m., me and Celeste and Ms. Virgie Jones, we did a walkthrough on one of the businesses, 1352 Willoughby. You got to see this building, man. They want to do activities for the youth. They got this big building in cooking. In regards to cooking, I don't know nothing about cooking, but hopefully these kids will get to cook and I can get to eat whatever they cook. On Thursday, the 14th at 6, we also had Joshua Brown had the estate planning CB4 Zoom. I know I ain't finished it. I know you guys are tired of hearing to it, but I'm going to finish it in a while. April 16th, Saturday, ACE Integration on Woodbine. 1419, they were the ones that gave support to Ukraine. It was also on Channel 12, and Channel 11 was on there. No, I wasn't on there. The organization was. I had to step to the side. They told me it's not all about you, it's about Ukraine. I said, all right. On April 18th, Monday at 12, a meeting with both councilwomen. Me and Celeste met with both. They'll be here. They'll be talking in a while. April 19th, 10:30, we met with Mia Barbara Smith, the 83 Precinct Clergy Council, Pastor Vina Davis, Reverend Davis. We met the new officers. We have 12 brand new officers, young, eager, and ready to work Bushwick and help our kids. The first thing they said, they want to help. So that was great. Sometimes people would say, I want to lock everybody up, but they want to help and they want to work. On the 20th, I met today with the clergy. There was a presentation in regards to real estate and what's going on with some of the properties that these churches have. We're going to follow up. They want to do a town hall. They want to get more involved. And April 20th at 6 o'clock, the full board meeting. And that is my presentation. Any questions, any concerns, any issues? Do you want to say something? You sure? You're positive? Okay. She was a little.
All right, if there are no questions, do we have anything from our remote attendees? I don't see anything in the chat or the Q&A. Going once, going twice, Mr. Camacho's report. Okay. Seeing none, we will move on. And I do want to acknowledge, as Mr. Camacho mentioned, we have our council member with us this evening. Council member Nurse, if you'd like to speak and just say a few words, this is the time to do so.
Thank you. I'll keep it short. I just had a few updates. So one, just to let you know that as sanitation chair, we've been really fighting to get the budget to the Department of Sanitation restored. There was about a almost $50 million cut to services on top of last year's cuts. We've all been feeling it, and across the city, everyone's been feeling it. So thanks to the advocacy we've been doing, we've managed to get that 50 million, about 48 million included in the council budget response. And just earlier this week, a couple announcements happened. So one, starting in July, alternate side parking will be returning 2 times a week. I know that not everyone loves that, but it had a real drastic consequence when we only had once a week. Most people weren't even moving their car once a week. So we saw an explosion of litter all over Bushwick. So that will start happening again in July. And then we're also still advocating for about 22 million to have the baskets serviced about twice a day. And that got cut really bad. So, we still have upcoming hearings. We'll be having one in April. And I'll make sure to put the date out, but, having community boards submit testimony will be really instrumental. And we've seen that the administration has started to roll out some announcements around restoration of that. So that'll be great. Also today, there was the launch of the pilot of containerized waste. I know that's a big thing of getting the trash bags off the sidewalk and into containers, and they're going to be rolling that out in 5 boroughs as a pilot. So again, if this area would love to have that pilot, it would be great to advocate for that. And then just a couple other things. We did have our Broadway Junction Town Hall, and just to continue to reiterate, they put in a pre-application, so we're not in the certification process yet. The clock has not started. Maybe that will start at the end of this year. We had a lot of participation from folks in East New York on the other side of the district, and thank you to Mr. Camacho for coming. But we definitely need more folks from Bushwick to raise their voices and just get informed about the project and start to understand what this is going to look like. Just as a reminder, it's 3 buildings that are over 13 stories high. It would have a drastic impact on Bushwick and especially eastern part of Bushwick. So I really encourage you to reach out if you'd like more information, and we hope to have some more community space around that. And Yeah, just the final thing is that we're continuing really to prioritize for our office, supporting tenants, particularly tenants in unregulated units. And so we've been kind of tag teaming around at a bunch of things with Senator Salazar and Council Member Gutierrez. But if you are experiencing issues of building neglect or harassment, please reach out to our office. And, you know, we are getting ready to work with the partners on the ground in Bushwick, because we do anticipate a number of legal evictions this summer. So we need to be looking out for each other and our neighbors and support where we can. And we encourage you to reach out to us early if you think you might be one of those folks being evicted this summer, so we can get you connected to where you need to be. So again, we'll put our office information later in the program, but feel free to reach out to us, and thank you.
All right, any questions, board members? Anyone else? I actually have two. Council member, you mentioned what the community board can do in terms of testimony, or what the community boards could do. What about community members in terms of advocating for the sanitation budget? What do you recommend?
Yes, I will send you all a link, and I encourage you to come to our hearings and testify. I know folks don't always have time to wait around all day to get your name called up, but it is hybrid, so you'll be able to be on. You can have it in the background while you're working, but you can always submit written testimony, and we really encourage both you as individuals and as a board to submit testimony. We also have a petition going around. I think it's over 5,000 people have signed from the whole city. This is the top priority of the council. So this is great news that, you know, all 51 members are advocating for restoration of those services, but we could always use more voices. So I'll make sure to send that information over.
Great, thank you. And I have one other question. So I know we often speak about resources for tenants, but we don't hear about resources for small homeowners. Mm-hmm. And we know that there are many in Bushwick that are affected by illegal construction. Just today in the office, we had someone call. They, you know, claim that the building next door has been, you know, pursuing construction, leaving debris, really impacting their home, making it, you know, dangerous for them to be there. It's very common to hear this. Is there any discussion on the citywide level about how to help homeowners in this position?
Not currently in the city level conversations, but surely if that's happening, please reach out to us and we can always back you all up. For the board members, or for Celeste, you and Camacho, when you're getting those complaints, we're happy to continue to advocate. You know, DOB is a little more responsive than HPD, to be quite honest. And that's just a resounding experience for most members as well. But it is illegal. If it's illegal, we can stop that, and we can back you all up, and we can certainly look at what legislation could be brought forward. And if we want, as Bushwick, as folks who are feeling that, if we want to do a rally, if we want to take it to the streets, if we want to take it to City Hall, I would love to do that with you and raise the issue.
Yeah, because that's a very important. Yeah, that's very important, because just because you own a house doesn't mean you're rich, you know, and most of the people that own their homes here been here a long time, and they work hard and they're retired, and they're on what you call a broke income, you know. So we want to make sure that, and some of them are vulnerable, because I had a senior last year. He had no money to fix his roof. He was in his 90s. His wife was in her 80s, and he had this huge lot. He wound up selling it, and I took a picture of it. They gutted it down, and they're going to make a huge building there, because he didn't have nobody to help him. And he says, you know, he was bedridden. His wife couldn't take care of him. He's been here over 70 years. Since he was a kid, he bought that building and the yard for nothing, he told me. And he just recently sold it and left. And he calls me all the time. He checks up on me, and I check up on him. But he's not happy where he's at, because, you know, he had his own little place. You know how seniors are. They go to their yard. They had their yard there. So now I didn't want to send him the picture that his house is demolished. And that's what's going on now. Also on Bushwick Avenue, those landscape, them beautiful houses and homes that are going up. You know, we really need to us, we really need to do something now, man. Not tomorrow, but now, little by little. Bushwick Avenue is gonna be Manhattan soon. We're gonna be so we really need to. Yes.
So we have been getting a number of our elders coming into our office or calling our office. We've had a deed fraud threat case in the district that we had to refer to the Attorney General. So that's something we're tracking. And we've had a number of foreclosure incidences, or we're supporting a number of seniors to get services to prevent foreclosure. So that is an issue. I mean, yes, our seniors are being impacted. Our senior homeowners are being really impacted, especially folks who don't have family. And that's something Michael here from our team spends a lot of time on. So please bring those cases to us. And additionally, a lot of the issues with the small homeowners, the ERAP funding has been replenished at different points, and maybe Carlos can give a little update on that because it is a state fund. And we've been helping, and Michael is here, has helped tons of homeowners fill out that application. We know the money has not trickled down for everybody, and we know that it's even not enough. And there have been a couple of workshops that have happened digitally. We're happy to put on more. Oh, I don't know if that was me, but happy to put on more. But we just want to communicate that we really understand, and we are limited also in the tools that we have and the funds that are available for some of these relief programs that are quite frankly running out. So that's why we say this summer, we're trying to get prepared for a number of situations around housing, both for small homeowners and tenants. And we really encourage you to reach out early so we can get you in connection with, representation or an organization that can support you through applications, because they're complicated early, because the caseloads are growing and the caseload and the backlog is growing. So it's important to reach out sooner rather than later, just because capacity is a real issue, that capacity is thin for a lot of organizations. So it's definitely crisis level, and maybe we'll hear an update from how the budget worked out at the state level around it.
Thank you, Councilmember. I see Joanna has her hand raised on Zoom, and then we have Mr. Ceballos. Joanna?
I was just going to say it is now 7:30. I know we appreciate the councilwomen. It's just been wonderful, wonderful, but we must move on. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Joanna. Mr. Ceballos, do you have a brief question and then we can move on?
Good evening. It's no question. Just I want to say something about Camacho and Sandy was mentioned. It's very hard for a small owner in our community in Bushwick, and also I want to say is right now after the pandemic is around a lot of homeless. They had to go to another place. They had to go to another state because they can. They take it out because the situation, and also a lot of homeowners they don't know what they had to do, and they also sell the property and go to another state, and it's very hard for our community. We had to fighting a lot for try to get our community back.
Thank you, Mr. Ceballos. And just to speak to that briefly, so we all know, right, these are common issues, common concerns. We hear it from our neighbors. We ourselves may be going through them. The board has been trying to work with our local elected officials on these things. You know, we have the Historic Preservation Working Group, but this month we've held the estate planning webinar. That was last Thursday. This Saturday, we actually have a deed fraud webinar. This morning was the mission-based affordable housing presentation. So the work is happening. You know, I want us to avoid, the doom spiral. It's so easy to do that, but we have a lot of good people in Bushwick working on these issues. It's just a matter of connecting with one another and getting the word out there. That's really what it's about. So, but thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Mr. Ceballos. And we'll move on now. Thank you, Joanna, for the time check. All right, so I'm going to go through the list of elected officials. I'm just going to call the office. If someone's here, I know we already heard from Councilmember Nurse. Is anyone here from Councilmember Gutierrez's office? Name and contact information only.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Juan Mayancela, community organizer for Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez.
Your contact info, please.
The office phone number will be 718-963-3141, and I'll drop down my email on the chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone from Borough President Reynoso's office? Going once? Going twice? Anyone from the Assemblywoman's office? Assemblywoman Davila? Going once? Going twice? Assemblyman Delan? Going once? Going twice? Assemblywoman Walker? Going once? Going twice? Senator Salazar's office?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Carlos Jesus Calzadilla. I'm the Director of Community Relations for Senator Salazar. Our office phone number is 718-573-1726. And you can email me at calzadil, that's CALZADIL, at nysenate.gov. And I believe later on I can give a little breakdown of the budget.
Thank you. Anyone from our congressional representatives' offices, Congresswoman Velasquez or Congressman Jeffries? Going once, going twice. DA Gonzalez's office?
Hello, good evening. This is Jonathan Boza from District Attorney Eric Gonzalez's office. We're located at 350 J Street, and my number is 718-250-2817. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm not sure I'll put all of these together. If there's anyone from the Public Advocate's office, the Controller's office, or the Mayor's office, now is the time. Going once, going twice. All right. So we'll move on now. I'm not sure which agencies or oh, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Apologies, my phone cut off. My name is Yvette Lopez. I'm the Communications Director for Assemblywoman Maritza Davila. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. You want to provide the contact info?
Yes, we are located at 249 Wilson Avenue in Brooklyn. Our contact number is 718-443-1205.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'm not sure, again, aside from DOB, who is here this evening as an agency and organization, please raise your hand. I know I see Communities Resist. Millie, if you'd like to provide name and contact info.
Sure. Millie Sandoval, Director of Organizing at Communities Resist. Number is 917-400-8504. We should be hopefully moving into our new location sometime in June. So once that happens, I'll let everyone know. We'll have a party. Everyone's invited.
Amazing. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, party. That's me, party.
Any other organizations? I don't see anyone on the screen. There are only a few screens that I can see. But if I don't see any hands now, we're going to go ahead and move on to the 83rd Precinct Commanding Officer's report. I know that our captain could not be here this evening, Captain Sanabria, but I believe Captain Claxon, our executive officer, is here. I know he also had another meeting at the same time. So if he's not available now, Captain Claxon, we will move on with the rest of the meeting. Okay. So that concludes the chairperson's report this evening. Thank you, everyone, and we appreciate your patience as we navigate this new virtual and in-person world. We will now move on to the district manager's report. That's my report. So good evening, everyone, and happy National Volunteer Month. A special shout out to all CB4 board members and non-board committee members for their service. And if the recent weather is any indication, we should be expecting an abundance of flowers in May. April, gotta liven it up. Everyone's usually a little sleepy at this point. April is also Stress Awareness Month, Autism Awareness Month, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, Parkinson's Awareness Month, National Poetry Month, and so on. I hope you've been able to explore local events related to these topics and take advantage of the many services available to the community. As a reminder, the community board's primary responsibility is to monitor and inform the delivery of city services, The board's office, including myself, Sharon, and Kim, oversee all board operations. The board's purpose is to advise service providers such as agencies and CBOs, community-based organizations, as well as local elected officials on matters affecting the neighborhood. Two of the most important charter mandated responsibilities include providing feedback through the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, or ULURP process, and preparing an annual district needs statement. As you may know, most of the board's work and discussion takes place at the committee level. This meeting, the public hearing and regular monthly meeting, serves two purposes: creating space for public discussion, testimony for various public proposals and/or matters affecting the neighborhood/district, and then convening as a full board to provide an overview of the recent committee meetings and/or board business. Bushwick currently faces many complex issues such as a looming sanitation crisis, a related spike in rodent infestations, rampant tenant harassment, displacement, a shrinking population of small homeowners who live in their homes, etc. The list certainly goes on. Although despite those challenges, I hope it is reassuring to you all when you hear firsthand from the board members during these meetings. We continue to adapt and do our best to meet the community's evolving needs while being mindful and respectful of our history. Today marks 5 years and 1 month as your district manager. I'm excited to continue our efforts and grow together. Below are the meetings and events I've attended in the past month that you may find of interest. And I will note that although many overlap with Mr. Camacho, there are some that don't. I will do my best to summarize as we've gone through some of these already. But just going back to right after our board meeting in March, we did have a call. I want to thank Desmond Monroe, one of our board members, for mentioning Enterprise Community Partners. They were the ones who attended this morning's meeting at the Precinct Clergy Council, and were able to provide a very informative presentation from what I've heard. I'm sure we'll hear more from Ms. Davis on that later. We also met with the Assemblywoman, Maritza Davila, to discuss district needs. And on March 21st, I had a meeting with Elizabeth Acevedo from the Fund for the City of New York. We currently have a fellow from their program, and they were asking for feedback on how to improve the program and make sure that both our office or the client, right, and then the fellow get equal satisfaction out of the entire program. And on Wednesday, March 23rd, there was a council committee, this is NYC Council Committee on Land Use preliminary budget hearing. And specifically, we noted this because the Landmarks Preservation Commission was there, and there were members, advocates from the neighborhood that attend the Historic Preservation Working Group meeting that waited 5 hours. They spent 5 hours on that hearing. Landmarks Preservation Commission had left, but they still said what they had to say. And I just want to thank both of those community members, Dina Alfano and Laura Paris, for their advocacy. And hopefully we can continue doing some of the work that we've been doing together and make sure that Bushwick and our culture, our history is preserved. And on Thursday, March 24th, I had a call with the Assemblyman DeLon, regarding district needs. Mr. Camacho already mentioned the Broadway interagency meeting. We are waiting for feedback from the Brooklyn Borough Commissioner on the cost estimate for reconstructing Broadway. So whether it's with concrete, as many of you may notice, which is more expensive, or whether it is something called micro milling. We're going to get 2 quotes for that. And then of course, a comprehensive traffic safety study. Once we have that information, it will be going directly to our elected officials for them to deliberate and see what is possible. We are also hoping to secure some of the federal infrastructure funding for this particular project because we know we'll need it. And on Friday, March 25th, Mr. Camacho mentioned the public health office visit right nearby, 335 Central. A special thank you to Michael Pereira from Councilmember Sandy Nurse's office for joining us. We really look forward to continuing those conversations, and we are waiting for feedback from the Department of Health. Some of the board members may recall, I believe it was in 2016, 17, the Department of Health came and they were presenting on a building envelope rehab project. To my knowledge, that project never started, and they are supposed to start sometime this year. So we're waiting for clarification. We've been told that while that project is in process, we won't be able to start some of our programming that we like to see happen there, but hopefully we can set up a timeline, figure everything out, and really collaborate moving forward so everyone knows that that's a resource. There's no reason why we don't use that facility when it is here for the community. And on Monday, March 28th, I spoke with Alexandra Diaz from City Planning. Most of you may remember her from the Bushwick Community Plan process. She's also been our liaison from the agency for the past several years. She did indicate that she's now working in the Bronx, so she's moving on. However, she wanted to check in, make sure we were all set, and let us know who was going to be our new liaison. Later in the month, we met with Colin Lee, and we are looking forward to continuing those conversations. And then let's fast forward. On Friday, April 1st, some of you may remember Kuebe from the Bushwick Film Festival, also a former board member. We were able to check in and talk about an exciting video project that's going to be connected to our sanitation working group. So stay tuned for more information. And then on Monday, April 4th, board members, be ready for this one. There was a CB4 team building event planning call. So save the date for Saturday, June 4th. That's June 4th. From 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to be putting together a team building event for the board and of course, non-board committee members. And if you're really that enthusiastic, you're welcome to join. So, and then on Tuesday, April 5th, Mr. Camacho mentioned the meeting with the council member Aviles regarding NYCHA Pact RAD oversight. The same day, I also had a conversation with Chris Walters from the Association for Neighborhood and Housing Development. You may remember Chris also from the Bushwick Community Plan process. I was very happy to share that the board finalized the responsible development policy in December that he helped put together. Very exciting. And then of course, let him know that we will be reviewing the recommendations from the plan over the next few months. And he looks forward to providing feedback to make sure that we're good to go moving forward. And Wednesday, April 6th, a Future of Community Boards meeting. I continue to meet with colleagues citywide. This particular meeting, we were with the Office of Management and Budget discussing several concerns. One regarding personnel action reports. The others were regarding budget consultations. And budget consultations, as a reminder, we engage all of the agencies every year to refine our budget requests and make sure the board has context on how to better direct the requests for the budget to the agencies and ensure that they are funded. And the same day, I spoke with Justin Donlin from NYC Housing Preservation and Development. This was a very exciting call as we have not really heard from HPD in more than several years, but they assured us that even though they're going through a lot of changes on their end in terms of the new administration, they are there for us to work with. And similarly, they will be providing feedback on the responsible development policy and some of our other housing recommendations. And on Thursday, April 7th, I was invited to lunch with the Deputy Borough President. We met for the first time. I was joined by my colleagues from the other community boards, and we had an informal conversation about some of our concerns, things that were happening in the community. And it was only a couple of hours, but by the time we finished, I had a meeting and I wasn't able to make it back. So Borough Hall graciously allowed me to take the meeting from Borough Hall, so that way I would not miss it. So thank you to them for allowing me to do that. And then on Friday, April 8th, I spoke with Joseph from Councilmember Gutierrez's office, and they were asking questions about how we found success with our sanitation working group. And I really have to give credit to the community because without all the volunteers that are part of that group, without Clean Bushwick Initiative, without Sal from Tony's Pizza, without Randall from Riseboro, without Amy from the Maria Hernandez Dog Run Pack, those are just a few of the people that are at every single meeting. We would not have a working group. So I want to give credit where credit is due. And to all the board members, Ms. Jackson, our committee chair, I'm really excited to see what comes out of all of our conversations. And we're getting close, people, I know. I had a meeting with Councilmember Nurse regarding Trees New York and tree pruning. Really excited, stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be bringing some tree pruning to Bushwick. I know everyone needs trees pruned, get ready. Yeah, and then on April 14th, Mr. Camacho referenced this. It was Sweet Generation, the business. It's located at 1329 Willoughby. We took a tour with the owner, Amy, and they were really showing us their youth workforce development program. That's specifically why we were there. So it's a business. They have a liquor license, but really it's a cafe, really low key space. But part of that huge space that they have, they'll be hosting events, probably doing programming in the future. And they really look forward to working with the community. So if you haven't, stopped by, please stop by, learn more about what they're doing there for youth and get involved. And that brings us to this past Monday, April 18th. We had our meeting with the council members, and I just want to elaborate because we specifically spoke with both of them about what comes next for the Bushwick Community Plan. And so I know we've referenced this in previous conversations, but in short, we are now reviewing those recommendations with the intention, right, of giving the community an opportunity to refresh their memories, because it's been a while since 2018. Two, to make sure that we didn't negotiate against ourselves when we were having those discussions with the previous administration. And three, prepare to speak to the Adams administration. So we look to our council members for guidance on that, because we want to be prepared and we want to make sure this isn't one person's plan. This is the community's plan. So we will be thinking about outreach. We will be trying to connect with everyone in Bushwick to make sure that before anything moves forward, the community is aware and the community is providing feedback. And that concludes my report. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, but you forgot something.
What I forgot?
I saw that in the background. She was at Borough Hall and I said, wait a minute, if Celeste is not home, where is she? And then she says, I'm in Borough Hall. I says, well, you need to bring yourself home, because tell them that they're not taking you away from us. So bring yourself home. And she started looking at me. Yes, tell the person back there, let's go get home and get on the bus.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. No, I know where home is. So, but that being said, if there are any questions about my report, I know there's some stuff in the chat. I'm not sure if it's related to this. Okay, there's a hand raise. We have, oh, thank you, folks. Thank you. All right. Okay, they were saying happy anniversary. So yeah, thank you. So I think that concludes it. I want to be mindful because I know Ms. Bennett is probably going to get me in a moment. So let's move on. Committee reports. If there's anything else, please drop it in the chat and I'm happy to follow up. And we will go, I believe, in alphabetical order today. Let's see. No, reverse alphabetical order, starting with Ann, Housing and Land Use.
Thank you so much, Celeste. Hello, everyone. I wish I could be there in person. Next month, I will. The Housing and Land Use Committee for March was on March 29th. And we did not have anything to vote on, but we did two important things, which was the first was to review the housing section of the Bushwick Community Plan. And we walked through every single aspect of it. And just as Celeste said, I think it's so important. And I appreciate that context that she just gave, which was, we spent 6 years working on this. So a lot of different people in the community, organizations, individuals. We worked hard for a very long time. We wrapped up our work in 2018. In 2019, the de Blasio administration pretty much came back and said, thanks, no thanks. And so we really, what we wanted to do, and CB4 has been taking the lead under the leadership of Mr. Camacho and Celeste, to say, you know what, a lot of these problems are still ongoing. And we would like to, in the context of new city council leadership and new mayoral leadership, we would like to start this conversation again and open it up to the wider community of Bushwick. And we'll be going through this in each committee. So in the Housing and Land Use Committee, we worked on the housing section. So as I think many of you know, our housing has not been, our zoning has not been updated since 1961, and that's really affected housing. So what we wanted to do is to review, not to redo it, but to review everything. So everybody is familiar and understands what all the sort of ideas and policies and things that we were trying to figure out, and has a good, clear grasp on it. We want to see what needs updating, because again, it's a different political context right now. Some of those policies are even more pressing than they were. Others have actually been addressed, and that's exciting. So this is an updating process. It's an outreach process. It's an education process. And we will work with Council Members Nurse and Council Members Gutierrez to really figure out what is the way forward. And finally, before we go into, I will very quickly go through the top level recommendations. The Bushwick Community Plan was never just about zoning. It was about a wider community vision for how do we move together into the future in a way that can preserve the things that we love about this community, which are the people, and make sure that people can stay here. So I would like to, the meeting notes will have the basically the excerpt from the plan, which is pretty straightforward. But if people are comfortable, I will read just the top level items, just so that people know. So under housing, number one objective was to create new affordable housing. And there are there's 6 different policy and funding suggestions under that. And we'll send those out in the notes. Objective 2 is to create deeply affordable housing. Because I think everybody knows that a lot of the affordable housing that comes out of the city is not affordable to members of this community. And that's a huge problem. So we really looked at what are ways to turn the policy tools that are available in ways that benefit long-term residents of Bushwick. Number 3, prevent displacement. Again, this is 8 different recommendations from community land trusts to very specific policy tools, and we will share those. Number 4 is protect tenants. And this is huge because I believe that our research showed us that it was about 65 to 70, I think it's 70% of people in Bushwick are renters, not homeowners. So that protecting tenants is hugely important. Objective number 5 is improve housing quality. I think as the situation that Councilmember Nurse helped out with on Menahan, like the housing quality is just as important. We don't want to keep people in housing that is substandard and not of high quality. And we want anything that new is constructed to be of high quality. So that section deals with quality housing. Objective number 6 is to increase access to affordable housing for Bushwick residents. And this is really specifically about tools to keep both long-term renters and homeowners in their houses, in their units, and to figure out which city agencies we can work with, what are the other tools that we have at hand to help obtain that objective. Objective number 7 is plan for an equitable neighborhood, and to make sure that any changes that would come about from a rezoning are all the benefits are widely shared, and not just for a few people, and make sure that, public and private and other not-for-profit entities are really focused on that as well. So those are the 7 big objectives. Again, there's a lot more detail in the Bushwick Community Plan. I know many people on this board and many people in this community have taken the time to look at that, and we will be sending out those objectives in the notes. So then the next thing we did, this was a big meeting actually, and this is very much related, we looked at the Community District Needs Assessment, CB4, which I think many of you have participated. We tend to do it in early fall, and it's all about agencies and budget priorities and, really allowing us to prioritize our needs so that we can share those with administration. And so the top 4 were really about, the top 2 are about housing. And let me just grab it quickly, that document. Where is it? Sorry. I believe the first one was increase affordable and extremely affordable housing. And then the second was to increase supportive housing, especially for families with special needs and the formerly homeless. So these are things that really are hugely important to us. And then, I'm sorry, I can't find that document. I apologize. Again, it will be in the notes. But 3 of these 4 issues that we went through that were housing related in the CDNA fell to HPD. And as Celeste said, and I just want to thank Celeste for really taking the leadership on making sure that HPD knows that we want them to be accountable to us and to have a better working relationship with us, which, it had broken down. And that was a huge problem because so many of the needs that we are addressing in the CDNA fall under HPD's, purview. And so therefore it's hugely important. And so she has been doing a lot in that direction. And so we're looking forward to a better and more active working relationship with HPD. We then went on to old business, and I'll quickly run through it. We did send a letter to NYCHA for this, or the NYCHA Seniors First community space. That was also to HPD. The idea is very quickly is that instead of having a paying tenant, we'd like it to be a community space that various groups in the community could use. Number two was just a report back on the town hall at Broadway Junction that I know Councilmember Nurse was involved with. Mr. Camacho was able to attend. I was unfortunately not. Number three was a report back on 309 Menahan, which is a building that has terrible sanitation. And again, I want to thank Councilmember Nurse and Mr. Camacho for being there. And I know that there is a letter signed by Senator Salazar, Assemblymember Davila, and Councilmember Nurse, and I believe also Councilmember Gutierrez, about addressing these conditions because it's a huge problem. There was also a RAD update, and Mr. Camacho goes to every single RAD meeting, which is a thank you. And then finally, there was a historic preservation working group meeting, which I also attended. And it's really, I think, for those folks who live on or near Bushwick Avenue, I think people have a lot of very strong feelings about the fact that a lot of the historic buildings are going down for purely speculative developments. And that feels like a terrible loss. So the Historic Preservation Working Group is working to develop more active outreach and get more people involved in the community around that. So that is the old business. We had no votes. And our next meeting is on April 26th, which is next Tuesday. Every single person is welcome. We always welcome new people. And please do join us. And that is my report.
Thank you, Ann. Any questions, housing and land use? Oh, I see Joey in his hand.
Yeah, it's not directed to the Housing and Land Use Committee. It's about the agenda. And when people finish questioning Ann Gani, it's about Virgie Jones put into the chat that her committee should have been on the agenda. And I want to raise, although the agenda has been approved and seconded, could we amend the agenda to include a report from Youth and Education Committee?
Absolutely. And that's my apologies, Ms. Jones, and thank you, Ms. Bennett, for raising that because I did not see that in the chat. That is an oversight. We will absolutely. Is there a motion from the board to amend the agenda?
Yes, Robert Camacho make a motion to.
Mr. Camacho made the motion. Was that a second from Melissa Carrera? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right. And again, Ms. Jones, that's my fault. My apologies on that. That's what I get for doing too many things at once. But absolutely, I'm going to just close out this section for questions for housing and land use. And then then we'll go to youth and education once we finish. Councilmember Nurse.
Sorry, I just wanted to update that the HPD did go to 309 Menahan to try to make the emergency repairs. The company that owns that building is called Hirschmark Capital and Wayfinder. On their website, they list themselves as deregulation specialists. And so if you want the phone number, I'm happy to give the phone number to call. We need them to go unlock those units so that HPD can do the repairs. And in order for it to happen, it's going to be in housing court. But I'm just going to say the number one time very slowly. And if you want to call and give that company a piece of your mind and ask them to unlock that unit, that would be really helpful to those tenants. So the number is 212-321-0421. So we have HPD ready to do the job. We just need that company to go unlock those units. And again, that is a public health crisis in that building. So please support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for housing and land use? All right. I don't see anything else. We will go back now to our youth and education report. Ms. Jones.
Thank you and good evening to all. We had our meeting on March 21st and we had a presentation from Adrienne Strager. She's the president-elect for the Association of Black Educators of New York, Incorporated. And she did a presentation on Albany's Black Study curriculum, which is the Education Equity Action Plan. And this is something that's been a long time coming. And it was forged by a collaboration of educators, advocates, and legislators over decades of work, and is dedicated to the integration, a comprehensive account of a Black studies from the nation's largest school system, that being New York City. The collaborating organizations are the United Way Foundation of New York, the Negro Academy Foundation, the Black Education Research Collective of the Teachers College, and the Association of Black Education. And it was through the funding of the Black Latinos Asian Caucus, otherwise known as Black. And it's designed to pave the way for the institution of a citywide pre-K through 12 Black study curriculum. And to paraphrase, it's focusing on early African civilization continuum of the Black experience in America, the contributions and achievements of African diaspora people and their impact on modern world, as well as the role of race and power relations, and the adverse social effects of systemic and institutional racism. And this is going to be by professional development programs to provide teachers and administrators, ensuring the effective implementation of the program. And the program is implemented through the Department of Education, and it's an annual funding. And right now we've received $10 million funding over the $2 million funding over the 5 organizations, which I previously mentioned. Ms. Strager went on to talk about that we wanted to involve everyone in it, the parents, the teachers, the community, and that's why she came before the board. And there will be ongoing staff development as well. And right now, what they're in the process of doing is, like I say, rolling it out to the different stakeholders. And we asked were any other community boards had to receive a presentation, and she said Community Board 3. And also they're going to be meeting with our borough president, Reynoso, because we know that there was a change of administration. So they're in the process of meeting with them. And we reminded her that we will be talking to him to help support, because we know that Reynoso is one of ours, and we appreciate the impact that he's made and has made in the education system here in Brooklyn. The next presentation that we had was from Rachel Hugh. She's a senior recruitment manager for iMentor. And this consists of mentoring relationships, empowering students who will be the first generation college graduate to navigate high school, succeed in college, and achieve their ambition. And they're looking for 1,400 mentors, and they're encouraging people to mentor to these students. And they said 7 of the students will be first generation college students, meaning that their parents either did not finish college or did not attend college. And 90% of the students identify as students of color. They have 13 different public schools and 4 out of the 5 boroughs. The one that's in Brooklyn is at the International High School at Lafayette High School and Lyons Community School. And they do have other ones that are in Manhattan, which we know Manhattan is very close to Brooklyn. And they're encouraging people to apply. And if anyone is interested for the next school year, she gave her information and a number that we could call, that you could call, and to encourage. Some questions that came up. Do you have to be a college grad? And the answer was no, you don't have to be a college grad. You fill out the mentor application, and then you attend a mentor orientation. And like I said, the requirements is that they want you to meet once a week online with the mentor via the iMentor platform. And once a month, the mentor and the mentee pairs meets at a group event. And I will put in the website, how you can start your application in the chat rather. and they're trying to match them with gender to the best of their ability, and fingerprints, and all of that is done by the Department of Ed, the volunteer department, and what they're saying is that you have to be at least, the mentors have to be at least 21 years old. And then we did have some information with regards to some of our members have already heard of the program and they volunteered, so they shared some of their experiences with it. But we're really encouraging those that are available to please reach out and be a mentor for these students. We had recommendations. We were gonna table the statement of district needs to the next meeting. And Ms. Camacho, the announcement, community board, they had the NAICA had a job fair on March 25th. And I think Mr. Camacho, if I remember correctly, spoke how nicely that went. The other announcement that I'm going to make is that this time next week, we will be celebrating Julie Dent's retirement celebration. We've made an effort to reach out to all, and some have not responded, but if you're interested, please reach out to myself or to Celeste at the district office. And I'm sure Ms. Dent would love to be there, love to see you there, and we plan on having a wonderful time. And the last one I want to say is that for the students, for the service awards, the deadline is May 30th. For the high school application, for the high school scholarships for Albany, the deadline is April 30th. So any interested student in the schools, and we hope that our schools will be represented. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Virgie. Any questions for youth and education? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Thank you, Ms. Jones. We'll move on now to our Economic Development and Permits and Licenses Committee meeting. I believe there was only a permits and licenses portion, so I will defer to Melissa to start us off.
Thank you, Celeste. Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy to be in person and see some of you here today. The Economic Development and Permits and Licenses Committee met on Tuesday, April 12th at 6 p.m. I will try to keep this brief. We had a total of 6 establishments coming to the committee for liquor license recommendations to the SLA. The first business is It's Music LLC. The Brooklyn Skyline, which we did send out multiple notices, but they did not attend this meeting. So we are inviting them to return and come back with all of their documents and paperwork. Next up, we have Amisi Italian Foods, Inc., located at 305 Knickerbocker Avenue, and they are requesting a beer and wine license. Sorry, I'm just trying to read my report from my phone. So the establishment comes from a long-standing family history of owning pizzeria restaurants, and the owner has conducted outreach with neighbors and businesses across Knickerbocker Avenue. They have been in business since before the pandemic, so early 2019. And has made sure to hire local youth and also people from the community. So their intended sales of alcohol hours are stated in the committee as follows: 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. And we did inform the establishment owner that there's no of our stipulation of no sales of alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays. The owner agreed to the stipulation, and DOT has provided the establishment with an open restaurants permit. However, the owner has decided to opt out to avoid any issues in the long run. They have a fire hydrant that's located right in front of their business, so they don't want to get into any trouble with DOT at the moment, but in the future, they would come to the board and communicate any changes. And we did invite them to attend the meeting today. Of course, when we have announcements or anyone can chime in and join if they're here from the establishment. Next up, we have Amk Brooklyn, located at 880 Flushing Avenue. And I promise in my next report to have cross streets for everyone, because that's something I said I would work on. So I will do that for the next one. They are looking for a full liquor license. The establishment owner plans to open a restaurant bar space in the community. The owner did inform us that the business will be opening for, won't be opening for at least 6 to 9 months due to the SLA process. We did request the owner to resubmit their application. They did not state their hours on the application. They were missing a lot of important details that we need in order to make an informed decision. So we did, suggest for them to return when they are ready and have all of their details in place. Next up, we have the Steel Mill LLC, located at 1363 Bushwick Avenue. This establishment opened in late 2019 and has been closed throughout the pandemic. They're looking to reinstate their liquor license to permanently reopen. In the meantime, the establishment has been renting out to local events, private parties, just to make some income to sustain the rent in the space. Their intended sales of hours are as followed: 7 days a week, Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., Friday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. We did inform them that of the stipulation of no sales of alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays, and the owner was okay with the stipulation. We did ask the establishment to have the hours be reflected that they stated in the meeting on their application and paper, and the owner did send this to us before the meeting here today. So we have an updated application with those details. Lastly, we do have Farm to People, located at 1100 Flushing Avenue. So this is right across the street from the gas station and truck rental company. So this used to be the former cider house. And the establishment wanted to inform the community board that they have made some changes to their method of operation. Originally, they did not have a DJ and live music to their liquor license application. This is a new change, and they're hoping to just add some ambiance and some, energy to the space. The hours are the same as they were. Nothing has changed in regards to that. Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Sunday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Kitchen hours of operation remain the same. Friday from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m., Saturday from 3 p.m. to 12 a.m., and Sunday 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. And this is a pretty interesting establishment because they are like a grocery store for local produce, but also want to increase their revenue and have, some sort of engagement, but they have been doing a lot of community events. We did share with them, the stipulation, which the owner is very well aware of. And they do plan to close their outdoor spaces, patios by 10 p.m., which is a uniform stipulation that we ask of every business that has any outdoor space. And lastly, we finally got to review our stipulations sheet that Celeste so kindly put together with some support from other community boards. So this stipulation sheet really breaks down just like a checkbox, a list that we really want to ask every establishment that comes to us, to the committee, asking for a recommendation, that they have everything on this list before coming to us. And it's important because it really gives us the transparency. It helps us understand, the business, their intentions, but also the best way that we can support them and build community with them. And then you can find more details in my report, and I will pause now for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Board members, any questions, comments? Go. Yep. Oh, there 197 Jefferson.
No, we did 97, I believe. Did I miss it? I missed it. Okay. All right. So I think I missed one. Sorry. The font is really small on my phone. So lastly, we had 97 Jefferson Street Restaurant Corp. located at 97 Jefferson Street. This establishment owner has lived in the community for decades. Oh, I feel bad for forgetting. Okay. And they have previously attempted to open the restaurant business and is the father of one of our former board members here, and really is just excited to finally be able to open their restaurant and have, this be a part of the community. Their intended sales of alcohol hours are as followed: 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. And we informed the owner of our stipulation, which is no sales of alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays. They agreed with the stipulation, and the establishment will be focusing on hiring locally and conduct outreach with their neighbors. Like I said, they're very excited and work with the 83rd Precinct on any issues. And they will not be participating in the open restaurants program. We did invite them to return to our meeting today on April 20th, and we are happy to provide more details if needed. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. And thank you, Kim, for catching that. And now I know we may have some business owners on. So just very briefly, if you want to say hello and introduce yourself and the business. Going once, going twice. If I don't hear you, we have to move on. I don't hear from anyone. So I'm going to, who? There's one. Oh, Edwin. What? Are you there, Edwin? All right, so I'm not hearing anything. We will have to move on. We can always come back in announcements. But before we close this particular report, I do want to ask Desmond if he had any updates on the economic development end. Desmond?
No, I don't have anything to add to the report at the time.
Thank you. All right, so seeing no questions, seeing no hands, we will move on to our next report. We have the district office report. Mr. Camacho, would you like me to do a brief summary? Okay, so during the district office committee, there are two things that happen. One is a review of the board members' attendance. The other is just a discussion about things that are happening in the office. For the majority of the board members that were flagged for attendance, there were letters that went out, if I'm not mistaken, last October, and then I believe another round of letters this January. Most have improved attendance. However, we did do the committee attendance log recently, so there will be another round of letters going out. There was discussion regarding one board member's attendance in particular, Carlos Feliciano. I did speak with him before that meeting. He had indicated that his health prevented him from attending the meetings, even though he did not let us know prior to that conversation. The committee did decide before the end of the meeting that since he was up for renewal and that he did not submit a renewal application, that the matter would naturally address itself. So there was no need to make a recommendation for removal. Regarding district office updates, I encourage everyone to read the report because I'm sure you don't want to hear all about what's happening inside the office right now. But please, if you would like to learn more, read that report. And we will move on to our Arts, Culture, Technology Committee report now. Dustin?
Hello. So our meeting, sorry, I got to pull it up over here. Our meeting was, sorry, I'm not. Okay, just to get the dates here. Okay, our meeting was on Thursday, March 24th. We had one recommendation which came to pass today, and that was to have NYC Mesh present this evening. I unfortunately was not able to make this entire meeting, so I missed that part. But I hope it was even half as good as their presentation to our committee, which I thought was really fabulous. I think we were all kind of on board with their mission and their execution of it. And I personally am hoping that all the other committees will have them in to see what each committee can do to help these guys connect Bushwick in a way that kind of empowers our community without, helping the telecom monopolists in such a way. That was really great. We also had the public art coordinator from the Parks Department, I believe, or the liaison to that, talking about the public art in the Bushwick Parks. So far, there is nothing planned, but she gave us the what they look for, requirements, and anything like that. And so, you know, if anyone has any suggestions, please reach out to our committee, and we can try to help pass it along. And that was mostly it. We went over some mail. There were concerns from outside of the district, I believe, about the 5G towers. And we will try to address some of that in the upcoming meeting. And I think our last piece of business was just a little bit of housekeeping. There was some conflict with some of our committee members, and so we may be changing our regular meeting dates, but I believe that is still up in the air for now. And everything else should be in the report.
Thank you, Dustin. Any questions? Arts and Culture Technology Committee? Going once, going twice. All right, thanks, Dustin. And I was just reminded, just a quick circle back to district office, and forgive me for going out of procedure, but this is important. There was an internet outage about 3 weeks ago now. It was fixed pretty quickly, so thank you to the agencies that helped respond. However, when one thing breaks, everything breaks in our office, and so our phones were down. We had no access to certain drives on our in our computers that we use to plan meetings and to really for all operations. We reached out for help, and we are still waiting for that help, even though it's been almost a month. And this is common now. There was a liaison for all community boards, Joe Coluccio, who left the agency the end of February. And we have yet to have someone step into that role to really assist us. And so I speak on that to say that it affects what we're able to do for the community. And I really want to emphasize that we are doing the best that we can. I was having a whole conversation about IP addresses and static networks and just a whole other language. And so I do the best that I can. But I say it's when you're giving directions, right? Sometimes you don't know the streets, but you know what's over there, the post office, go by the post office. So that is how I handle the tech in our office to the best of my ability. And just a big thank you to Sharon for also assisting with that, and Kim for helping us get through it. So Mr. Camacho, did you have something?
Yeah, I also wanted to let the board know that, yes, sometimes I had to tell them to leave the office because there was no work, but they used the phone, and they also took their personal stuff to do the job while they were there. So I kept in contact with them and making sure that the community knew that they can use the phone and call.
Hall is aware of these issues as it affects all the community boards. And we have decided that if we do not hear back from the Department of Information Technology and Telecommunication by this Friday, we will be writing to the commissioner to formalize these concerns. And that concludes that particular announcement. If there's nothing else for committees, we will move on now to recommendations. And I know we have a few of them. We will start with economic development and permits and licenses. And if we want to do the STIP sheet first, just to get that out of the way, then we can go into the businesses. Is that okay with board members? Sounds good? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is there a motion for the STIP sheet? So this is to create, again, a stipulation sheet for the committee, which they use, right, for all applicants to have a documented version, right, of these stipulations. Melissa repeats every single meeting. Is there a motion to support the committee's recommendation to create a stipulation sheet?
Motion to support.
Ellen made a motion. Is there a second? Oh, Kyle Jones, second. Okay, Kyle beat you to it. All right, so Ms. Spellin made the motion. Kyle O'Rourke, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? So moved. All right, thank you, everyone. So that takes care of the STIP sheet. And now we'll move on to the applicants and the recommendations. Melissa, one, I will clarify, we will go through every single one by address and by STIPs unless the board votes for a blanket vote. So Melissa, I will defer to you to go through them one by one to remind everyone of the hours and the STIPs that were agreed to by address, if you please.
Thank you, Celeste. So the recommendations are for the following businesses. The first is Amisi Italian Foods, located at 305 Knickerbocker Avenue. And the intended operating hours are 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. We did inform them of no sales of alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays, and the applicant is in agreement with the stipulation. So the recommendation is to approve the hours stated above with recognition of stipulations in place. So please reference the notes in our report.
Okay, is there a motion for this establishment? Anyone? Someone? Board members?
I make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
I think I heard Gladys. Was that you, Gladys? Second?
That was me, okay.
Okay, great. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Raul, Ms. Davis abstained.
Because what is this?
Anyone else? Please, if you're not speaking.
Home goods,
So
you can
moved.
always get more of what you love.
Now we'll move on to the second business. Melissa?
The second business is Amk Brooklyn, located at 880 Flushing Avenue. This is a new applicant for a full liquor license. They're returning to the Economic Development meeting in May with all of the forms being resubmitted. So there is no recommendation aside from having them return in May for our upcoming meeting.
Okay, that doesn't need a full
Yes.
board vote, so we'll skip it. Yes.
Next up, we have 97 Jefferson Street, Restaurant Corp., new full liquor license. The hours are stated in our report, Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. This is the restaurant that had to close due to the pandemic, and they're hoping to reopen. They are hiring locally. They're involved in the community, and the recommendation from the committee is to approve the liquor license with the information submitted to the committee as above.
Okay, is there a motion from the board for this establishment?
Gladys Bovia, give the motion.
Is there a second? Felix Ceballos seconds. All.
Aye.
Aye.
Raul and Alvina abstained. Next.
I abstain too. Sorry, Angani abstains.
And Gani abstains as well.
Next up, we have the Steel Mill LLC, located at 1363 Bushwick Avenue. This is a new full liquor application. The hours, I will read them now, are as intended, 7 days a week, Monday through Thursday, from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., Friday through a.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. The applicant is in agreement with the stipulation of no sales of alcohol after 12 a.m. on Sundays. And the recommendation for the establishment is to approve this liquor license with the stipulations in place.
Is there a motion for this establishment?
I make a motion, me.
Barbara Jackson.
Yes.
Was that Desmond for a second?
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Ms. Davis? Anyone else? So moved.
Thank you. That summarizes our recommendations for the Economic Development and Permits and Licenses Committee.
Great, thank you. Were there any other recommendations? Please, committee chairpersons, let me know now, because I do not have my usual list. If not, we're going to move on. Going once? Going twice? Okay, we'll move on now to old business. Any old business? Going once? Going twice? Hearing none? New business? Going once? Going twice? Hearing none, moving on. This is everyone's favorite part of the meeting. Announcements, going once, going twice. Everybody raise your hands. If there are folks here, we're going to have the microphone 1.5 minutes. We'll try to accommodate everyone. Announcements. And just one quick note, I will say this here, but regarding the It's Music LLC, Brooklyn Skyline, I made a note, I didn't say it earlier, but they did have a family member affected by the Sunset Park shooting, which is why they weren't at that committee meeting. But the attorney did reach out and let us know that they would have been there otherwise. So they had to travel, it was an emergency. So just wanted to note that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, hello, everyone. It's great to see you all in person on this hybrid meeting. I want a special thanks to the community board to making this possible. So I'm going to give a really quick update. Again, I'm Carlos Calzadilla. I'm the Director of Community Relations for the Senator. So I want a couple announcements. One is that the Senator has the State of the District address May 12th at the Williamsburg Community Center at 6 p.m. It would be great to see all of you. The Senator will give a more in-depth overview of the budget and the state of the district. The Senator is fighting really hard in Albany for our priority bills, good cause eviction that will protect millions of tenants, especially so many people in our community, fighting for New York for all, protecting our immigrant community members, and the Community Protection Act on climate change. A little bit about the budget. So $220 billion was the approved budget. And here's some highlights the Senator fought for housing. We had $800 million, as Councilmember Sandy Nurse talked about, to replenish ERAP. ERAP portal has been open for some months now, but without any funding. So if anyone applied or anyone still needs to apply now, because those funds will be coming in and helping out so many folks dealing with that are behind on rent. $125 million for landlord and homeowner debt relief. So really encouraging folks to apply for LRAP, apply for those reliefs, make sure that you get that funding if you are a homeowner or landlord. $250 million for COVID utility arrears, helping so many folks in our community. $1.2 billion for NYCHA. We all know that NYCHA is something that really needs to be funded. It's not enough, but at the state level, it's a lot of negotiation. And ultimately, the federal government, unfortunately, hasn't come through, which is unfortunate. So at the state level, the Senator fought for as much as possible we could for our district, and $25 billion for a 5-year housing plan to create affordable homes. Which is very, very good. In terms of public safety, $110 million for programs such as gun violence prevention, violence interruption, legal aid, community alternative programs that target the root causes of violence. Transportation, $757 million for the MTA. Also, the suspended gas tax, it's going to go from June all the way to the end of the year to help relieve pressure at the pumps. As we all know, the gas prices are really crazy right now. For childcare, $1.6 billion to move in these vouchers for families at 300% level of the federal poverty level. This would expand childcare to so many families. And in terms of the economy, $250 million for credits and businesses who lost so much funding during the pandemic. There's a couple more stuff, but we can provide that. Please go to the State of the District address. We also have a lot of test kits in our office. Our office is located at 212 Evergreen Avenue. We're open Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And our office number, I'm going to repeat it again, is 718-573-1726. Please feel free to reach out to our office if you need absolutely anything. We're here for you, here to serve any community needs. Thank you very much. And the Senator's fighting has actually brought in millions of dollars for community groups and programs. She'll be addressing that more in the State of the District, but she's been really fighting hard for our district. So thank you all for hearing us out.
Thank you. Any other announcements? I don't see any hands. Kim, yep, who do we have? Okay, yep, Mr. Brown, go ahead.
Yes, I want to thank Community Board 4 for those who came out to the estate planning webinar this past week. It was a great deal of information. I just want to remind everyone we have a webinar Saturday speaking about deed fraud. So we ask that you all look out for your emails as the Community Board will be sending you a reminder.
Thank you, Josh. Anyone else? I believe we had someone from Accessible Dispatch. I believe Stephen Williams, if he's still here, should be a. Okay, we have two folks with their hand raised. I can't see from this far. Oh, Yvette, go ahead, Yvette.
Thank you, Celeste. So I know Carlos had pretty much given you guys a overview of the budget. And just to reiterate some of that, I'm not going to go over everything that was mentioned, but did want to point out some of the other things that the Assemblywoman has fought this year as it pertains to the budget. And so again, it was a $220 billion budget, which was over $100 billion increase from 2021. So that's extremely good to bring back services to our communities. And she helped provide her and her colleagues $585 million to suspend the state gas tax through the end of the year, $475 million for additional earned income tax credit and child tax payment to help working families. We know that with the pandemic, many families have been struggling. And so this is to help families pay their rent and all of their basic human necessities, such as food, water, and all that stuff. And on another note, $1.1 billion was funded to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program and $250 million in utilities arrears. And as you guys know, our office works closely with Mobilization for Justice, Communities Resist, Brooklyn Legal Services. These agencies provide free legal services for families who are facing eviction and tenant harassment. So if you guys know anyone who are dealing with these issues, you guys can direct them to our office, and these agencies will help guide them through the process. And if anyone would like a detailed description of the budget, we'd be happy to share that with you guys. Again, our contact number is 718-443-1205. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. Next is Arturo and then Jonathan. Arturo? You're muted?
I'm sorry. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to announce very quickly, I'm here talking on behalf of Newton Creek Alliance. We are launching a community program. It's involve a educational workshop about environmental issues around the creek, and it will be targeted in the area of Bushwick to engage communities there. It's going to be followed by 3 events. Hands-on projects, 1 walking tour around the creek, and 2 volunteer events that will be announced in the website. I can share the link in the chat. And in general, the purpose is to connect the community with environmental issues that pertains to the creek. As we know, it's very contaminated. And the first walking tour is going to be in May 15. Then we have a hands-on project on June the 4th. And then we have a maintenance of rain gardens in partnership with Clean Bushwick Initiative and the DEP of New York. And that's it. If you have any question, please email me. I will leave the contact in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just another quick notice to everyone on this subject. As you may know, there is also a Superfund site, a designated EPA Superfund site not in Bushwick, but near Bushwick on the border between Ridgewood and Bushwick this is Moffett and Cooper on Irving Avenue. So we should be getting an update as well from the EPA. And then I've also spoken with Evelyn Cruz from the Congressman's office. So more info on that to come. But thank you, Arturo. And next is Jonathan.
Thank you, Celeste. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to make a quick announcement. The Brooklyn District Attorney is now accepting applications to the 2022 Summer High School Internship. It's going to take place from July 5th to July 29th. The application deadline is May 12th. And you could find more information at brooklynda.org/careers/internships. And it's for high school sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for announcements. I see no more hands. Anything else? Mr. Ceballos? Hold on, Mr. Ceballos, and then we'll go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Felix Ceballos, and I want to announce I'm running for D3 leader in D3 53. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ceballos. Okay, and
Celeste?
then,
Yeah.
yes, Ms. Bennett?
Yeah, Celeste, you might want to remind people about the borough president's inauguration this Sunday. You have the details about that. It's coming.
I don't remember the time off the top of my head, but it's this 10 o'clock, 2. Thank you, Ms. Dave. 2 p.m. Sunday, Borough Hall, I imagine. All right, thank you, everyone. If someone can drop that in the chat, that'd be wonderful. And next we have Mr. Williams, I believe, accessible dispatch. Going once, you might be muted. Going twice. We'll have to move on. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Community Board 4, for allowing me to speak. My name is Pat Hayes Torres. I am running for civil court judge countywide in Brooklyn. And as you know, running countywide is a real daunting task. So I want your vote and I need your vote. I'm going to make this very abbreviated. Please go to my website at hayestorres2022.com. Or if you want to email me, it's hayestorres2022@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Jahi Rose. Jahi?
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Jahi Rose. I'm the Director of Outreach for the Civilian Complaint Review Board. Our agency takes complaints about police misconduct, where it involves force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, and offensive language. I just wanted to notify you that the CCRB is back to doing in-person board meetings. They take place on the second Wednesday of every month. The location is 100 Church Street in Lower Manhattan until further notice, and they take place at 4 o'clock. The community board will be notified of the next board meeting and how members of the public could participate. It's hybrid, just like this meeting. So there's a WebEx component where you could participate virtually, and you could participate in the building as well. CCRB is making a greater effort to do more outreach in the community. So I would like to leave my information in the chat. If anybody would like a CCRB outreach presentation or workshop for adults and or students, feel free to notify me. We're also doing things like CCRB Courtside, where we go to local recreational centers and basketball courts and do outreach there. CCRB Block by Block, where we canvass neighborhoods and provide information about police accountability. Please don't hesitate. If you have a space you'd like us to speak in, please let me know. I'll leave my information in the chat. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. I see no more hands. I see nothing in the chat. Oh, Jenny?
Hello everyone. Hope you're doing well this evening. I just want to drop in a quick announcement that I'm a second-year student at the Sophie Davis CUNY School of Medicine in Harlem. And currently my colleagues and I are conducting a survey for a community health assessment of Bushwick. This will help us learn more about your concerns as valuable members of the community. We'd love to share our results with Ms. Leone. Currently we have 10 responses and we'd love to have at least 10 more. So we'd greatly appreciate if you could take 5 minutes out of your day to complete our survey. Currently, some of the responses have been regarding sanitation and green space, but we also see that everyone agrees that Bushwick's greatest asset is the immense sense of community. So we'd really love to hear your opinion, and I will drop the link in the survey in the chat. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And I believe this is our last call. Announcements, no more announcements. If we've missed anything, we'll catch it later, because now we're moving on to our second roll call. Board members, please be ready. Frank Zimmerman. Oldhoff Wright. Carlotta Williams.
Here.
Jerry Valentine.
Present and good night.
Leo Teneo. Annette Spellin.
Present and good night.
Dustin Sonborn.
Present. See you guys in person next month.
Bernadine Michelle.
Present.
Please. Eliseo was there. We can't hear him. Okay. All right. And then Raul Rubio. Gladys Bulia.
Present.
Asaya Polite.
Present.
Gladys. Gotcha, Asaya. Zuma Navoa. Zuma did text. I don't know why we can't hear you. Oh, we hear you now. Great. Good night. Kyle O'Rourke. Sammy Navier Olivares. Gotcha, Kyle. Desmond Monroe.
Present.
Imani. Gotcha, Desmond. Imani Mitchell. Gotcha. Mary McClellan. Andy Marte. Luisa Jose. Virgie Jones.
Present, good night.
Gotcha. Both. Carol Jones. Barbara Jackson.
Yeah.
Misha Honeycan. Jared Hicks. Hadia Harrison. Jose Guzman. Ann Guiney.
Present. Good night.
Christopher Graham.
Present.
Gotti Gomez. Gotcha, Chris.
Thank you.
Gotti Gomez. Freddie Fowler. James Fitzgerald. Carlos Feliciano. Alvina Davis. Luisa Chan. Felix Ceballos. Melissa Carrera. Robert Camacho. Raul Brown. Martha Brown is excused. Joshua Brown.
Present.
Joanna Bennett.
Present, good night.
Grace Yates. A motion to adjourn, please.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Andrew Choi.
Motion, Mr. Fowler adjourn, seconded, all in favor.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.